The shadow of the Wicker Man is rising up again. Your time will come. Your time will come.
I hate this movie. But how else could you judge a film that harbors such contempt toward women, the primary demographic shown in The Wicker Man? Director Neil LaBute's misogyny is just one of many reasons why this remake should never have been made. But first, let's get the technical aspects out of the way. Nicolas Cage and Kate Behan have no chemistry even as divorced lovers, and their relationship spawns many obvious twists that you can see coming a mile away. Cage himself spends most of the movie running around aimlessly and insulting the people of Summersisle. His altercation with Sister Summersisle, portrayed reasonably well by Ellen Burstyn, is clumsy and extremely ham-fisted, with none of the religious conflict displayed by Sergeant Howie in the original. Much of the tension in the original Wicker Man stemmed from Howie's beliefs, which exposed him as too inflexible and prudish to accept different cultures. But in the remake, Officer Malis is just uncaring and ungrateful. The dialogue is insipid, and Cage has just as little personality as anyone else. The presentation is decent but generic, drawing upon the same tired camera angles in every scene. Remakes should have some innovation to them, but The Wicker Man has no ambition to speak of. Moreover, the pagan symbolism that made the original so enticing has been lost in the retelling. The best we get is an attractive islander, Lily Sobieski, holding a broom in a witch-like pose, and a reference to the original in her munching down on an apple. The Wicker Man remake may look good, but it does nothing interesting or effective with its production values. Now, let's move on to the values that really damn this movie. It is sickening to watch LaBute, a director known for his issues with women, air such a contempt for female empowerment. The women of his Summersisle are abrasive and cold-hearted, and find a perverse delight in murdering Officer Malis. Gender was not an issue in the original Wicker Man, as the women of the town were respected in their positions of authority. Also, the people of the original Summersisle were not intrinsically evil. In a sense, they were just as devout as Howie. The chilling finale of Hardy's original does depict a ritual killing, but not out of overt spite for Howie. The men and women of Summerisle are simply following traditions just as old as Christianity, and are seen celebrating the rejuvenation they hope for as the wicker statue burns. Howie's sacrifice was also done respectfully, I should add. But in LaBute's remake, the regrowth of crops seems to be the least of the islanders' concerns. Rather, in breaking Cage's legs and chanting, "The drone must die," the women of Summerisle are torturing him out of a common hatred for men. Judging from this film, LaBute asserts that women are vengeful in nature, and will subjugate the men if given a measure of power. As it stands, this is a gross misrepresentation of feminism and its aims. The feminist movement, which has spanned over a century of steady progress, seeks to improve the rights of women in all levels of society, with gender equality as the final goal. For what it's worth to anyone, I am a feminist, and I wholeheartedly support its cause. You can imagine my disgust, then, at watching such a malicious and bigoted portrayal of women in this movie. And for those of you who think I'm being too harsh on the remake, let me draw your attention to Cage's various scuffles with the townsfolk. Scenes of Cage punching women and shambling around in a bear suit have been cited as factors in the so bad it's good appeal of the movie. But as outwardly ridiculous as these shots look, they are not to be taken so lightly. In capturing Cage knocking out a woman in an unintentionally silly manner, LaBute is foolishly passing off violence against women as funny. For that reason, The Wicker Man, 2006, is unworthy even as a guilty pleasure. Pedestrian camera work and dumb, overacting leads would be enough to render this film a forgettable failure. But in smearing the legacy of the original with such a blatant misogyny, Neil LaBute has produced, if I may quote Roger Ebert, one of the most thoroughly hateful movies I've seen in recent years. There are bad movies, and then there are offensive movies. The Wicker Man remake is one of the latter.
But how can words express the feel of sunlight in the morning in the hills? Away from city strife, I need a country woman for my wife. I'm city born, but I love the country.